Interesting. King post, queen post. Oh, hey, how are you? I picked this book up, Building the Hewn Log House by Charles McRaven. What a wonderful book. This book is discarded from the library today. I get this book for 30 cents. No tax. So good. Practical knowledge may be useful, again, if you ever want to build a home correctly from nothing. You have the tools to cut the board, the cross-section. I play music in the background without the words. It's public domain, so that way the YouTube doesn't slam me and say, public domain is bullcrap. So anyway, we close this. Hey, welcome back. It's Boris to Sleepovich here, and I was thinking maybe something we should talk about. Just like this book at the library. I'm not reading anymore. Oh man, tell you what. I love America, and this is why I'm talking to you today. I've been listening to this Jukebox Johnny by Red Sovine. It's a collection of hits that Judd Moore would have loved. The Driving Down the Road, Rumble Tumble, all these funny songs like Okie Dokie. That's a shout out to my friend Justin Wheelholt there. But anyway, do you ever wonder why the media is always covering things like this here? You know what that is? The Mayan Calendar. Why they feel it necessary to keep people thinking that it's the end of the world, the end of time. People stop living for tomorrow. They start worrying, and they can't just be happy. Why not be happy, you know? We worry about the planets being aligned and the astronomy and the end of time. And before the Mayan calendar was to have ended in 2012, December 21st, 2012. Before that, we had Y2K, the year 2000, these things. They're always, it seemed like every 10 years, every 5 years, something is in the media to keep the people afraid of these theories and different things. And then when you go to church, if you have the faith, they talk about this too in the Revelations, and you can look at the book of Daniel and Isaiah and different things this way. And it's so important to have faith. Doesn't matter about this. Where is your heart? I ask people sometimes, how many points are there to a cross? How many points are there to a cross? Some people say 3. They don't count the bottom. Some people they say 4. But where the intersection is where your heart is, and that's the 5th point. You see, behind the pulpit, oftentimes you see a small J, a small S, and a large H. Did you ever wonder what that meant? Some people here would know the answer, but what it means is that Jesus saves humanity. Hopefully that means something to you. It sure means something to me. Anyway, did you ever hear about the 7 wonders of the ancient world? Huh? Yeah? Well, there was this big lighthouse at Alexandria, but also at Alexandria, did you know there was this library, this huge library where all the wisdom, all the knowledge of the world at the time was kept? And in the year 300 and something, this is either Constantine or Diocletian. I believe it was Diocletian. Now, Caesar, when he invaded Macedonia, wherever this was, accidentally they set fire to this library, and they put the fire out, and maybe they lost like 10%, but he made sure that the information was replaced. But some 300 years after Caesar, I think it's Constantine was the first emperor to become Christian. No, Constantine made everybody become Christian then. That was pagan, or they put them to death. They fed them to the lion. Doesn't sound like something Jesus would have done, but that's what they did. They started killing the pagans. Anyone who did not want to embrace Christianity. But before that, Diocletian actually was the first Christian emperor, and he and Constantine were so different, actually. The Council of Nicaea, all these different things happened that formed the books of the Bible. Anyway, during that time period in 300 and something, they saw fit to burn down the Library of Alexandria. All the knowledge, everything, medical knowledge, everything just burned up in flames. It's a great tragedy, and throughout history something similar to that has happened. And the bonfire of the vanities, you can look it up, Pope Clement II, some of that early stuff. And why was it necessary for like this man named like Jacques Desmoulins, he was with the Knights Templar, to take and preserve these old treasures so they would not be destroyed by the church? So fascinating. But when I go today to the library and I pick this book up, that's what I think about. I think everything now, all this really interesting stuff is being discarded from our libraries, and archival information like let's just say Time Life magazine from the 1930s to the 1940s, or let's go with the 1949 to about 1955. Gradually they're coming off of the library shelf, and yeah, because they say they're on microfiche now, quote unquote, and you can look them up electronically, books just to take up the space. But I will tell you something, and this is the reason that the second book that J.S. Moore wrote, The Gathering Leaves, is called Gathering Leaves. You take something like a book, just like leaves in a grassy field, and so you rake up the leaves in a big pile. Okay, Mark Rutherford told me this story, and another friend of mine, Fred Davenport, told me this story. But you gather these leaves in a pile, and you set the field on fire. Any leaves that are scattered and not part of the pile, they'll burn up immediately. But the ones that are in the pile, it takes them a long time to burn. They merely just smolder, really. More than likely, the fire go out before the leaves burn up. That's why I think having a real book, a book with pages that you can feel and everything, is so much more important than something they can wipe out with a push of a button, or something catastrophic that happened and they destroy this. Because ultimately, when the Library of Alexandria was destroyed, that led to the Dark Ages. It goes back to Rome falling too. I covered this a little bit in Rooting Branches, just a little bit. But it was intentional. It wasn't overnight that Rome fell. It was like a plan was in place to do it, and they did it. And who's to say that those who did it, the powers that be, quote unquote, it wasn't purely intentional that it was destroyed. Rome fell, the greatest empire at the time fell. But I think it's important to educate ourselves, this type of thing. And man, I hope I haven't lost you in this. Some of it's kind of deep, but I recommend several different books. The Gallic Wars by Caesar. It shows his military strategy, some of his information that way, and then maybe read about Augustus Caesar, maybe some of his diary entries during the wonderful time for Rome that way, and the Enlightenment that way, and then read about Diocletian, read about Constantine, and start comparing the four men. And also, it's interesting, during the time of Jesus was when the time of Julius Caesar was as well. And the historical Jesus, man, we need to talk about that sometime too. But it's that faith, the 4 points in the cross plus the 1, that's 5. Where is your heart? Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Well, I don't even know where my trademark thing is. But I wouldn't worry about things like the Mayan calendar and things like that. Just worry about where your heart is. God bless you. I'm going to pray for you. Have a good one.